I'm very proud of you.
All right, you only fixed 2.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. On a Google Doc or a sheet of paper. No, you can just, that's just a note guide.
But it's not gonna show.
Nope. Okay. And if it does show up missing, let me know and I'll just take it off. Okay. Either on a doc or on a sheet of paper. I don't care which one. If you like electronic notes or hard copy notes, I want you to make a grid. Right? It's gonna look. You can do that on the doc. You just insert table, change the number of rows. Okay. Sheet of paper is probably easiest. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of look at the marginal analysis that you guys were looking at with the units of fertilizer, but we're going to look at it play out in person, right? And we're going to kind of use a scientific method style approach where we have this hypothesis that labor should act accordingly. As we add units of labor, we should see benefit, right? But eventually adding too much labor should do what? When you add too many workers, what's eventually going to happen? Exactly. They're not going to have any work to do, and it's going to wind up being inefficient, right? Exactly. And we see that all the time, right? Businesses overexpand and they accidentally wind up in stage 3. Right? They've got all of these people hired and working, but they're not really getting any additional benefit from it. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the theory of economics and we're going to apply it to the real world. We're going to see, does the theory hold up, or can we break economics? Stage of production. It can be its own column or just out the side it, kind of like it was on the note guide, whatever.
Am I supposed to write this way or this?
Whatever works for you. Yep. We're more with this, we are more just recording data so that we can kind of examine what is happening as we go through this. Okay. So, law of diminishing marginal return. Right? The entire idea of marginal analysis revolves around this. That as you continue to add labor, eventually the effectiveness, right, the efficiency of that labor will start to decrease. Okay? But there are a couple of assumptions that we kind of make about labor. The first one is pretty basic. It's kind of understood, but you may not think about it when you're going through the notes. But if there are 0 units of labor available, how much work is getting done? 0, none. Right? It's a pretty, it makes sense to us when we talk about it, but whenever you look at it on a graph, you may forget, right? So anytime we're starting, a production output analysis where we're using marginal analysis, you can always assume that you're starting at a point of 0, 0. Right? That you're starting at a point of 0 inputs is always going to create 0 output. So whenever we add that first unit of labor, we can calculate margins, the rate of change from 0 to our current position. Okay. So in order to make this work, I need a volunteer. Shayla, how does I know? Okay. You can leave your paper. Oh yeah, you're gonna need to stand up. You may want to stretch a little bit. Okay. So what we are going to do today is we are going to start a business. Right? Mr. Brogdon's Pristine Paper Packet Production Company. Okay? Pristine Paper Packet Production Company.
For what?
So Shayla is going to come start our production. Now, previous to this, we had nobody working. So how many packets did we make?
0.
0. Perfect. So that's our kind of understood starting point is 0, 0. Now, here's the question. When we employ Shayla to our new company, theoretically, what should happen to our production? It should increase. Now, whenever we look at these types of things on a graph or in a book, right, they are always operating in what we would call a vacuum. Everything's perfect. Okay, there's no such thing as human error. There's no such thing as people having a bad day, right? When you're analyzing models, whether you're talking about economics, math, or anything like that, there always is this assumption that if everything's perfect, we use the idea ceteris paribus, right? Which means if everything else is constant, then adding one additional unit or changing one variable should always create the desired outcome, right? So we're going to test today if people really act like models. Now, unless Shayla is very bad, which I don't think she's going to do. Unless Shayla is very bad, surely she will do better than 0 workers, correct? I mean, we can all assume that. What do you guys think? What is our proposed, if Shayla is given 1 minute? Hey, cut it out. If Shayla is given 1 minute to stack her packets, so she will need 1 red, 1 orange, 1 green, and 1 purple. Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. Boom. Then she needs to come over. You've got to staple them. Now, at Pristine Paper Packet Production Company, precision is priceless. Okay? I need these things to be nice and neat. Look how terrible that stapler is. My Lord. Is that your first time using a stapler?
No.
Okay.
There was a hole right there, so I couldn't.
Oh, okay. So once you staple it, oh, no. Can't turn it in there. The turn-in basket is right here. Very good. Very good. Unfortunately, that one doesn't. So, Shayla's going to have 1 minute to make as many packets as possible. Pristine packets. No, I'm glad you did. Okay. So, how many do you guys think? How many packets can she stack, staple? They have to be in the basket before the timer goes off in order to get credit. What do you guys think? 7? If she gets 7 in a minute, I will be incorrect. 3, 2.
Yeah, you're such a little town. I was
4, 5. Okay. Okay. All right. You ready, Shayla? So here's what I want you guys to be doing. Yes.
My position, do you feel like they have to do
Precision, yeah. So they have to be nice and neatly stacked. The staple needs to be in the top left corner. Don't be stapling in the middle of my paper. Right?
I don't think it's wait, so I have to staple like
Top left corner.
this? Or
Yeah.
like,
That's okay. That doesn't matter. But remember, right? If we're producing a product, it needs to be, consumer ready. If you walked into Walmart, you're thinking, man, I got to buy my paper packet today, and you get in there, it's all janky, right? Stuff's going all like this and staples in the middle, half hanging out like that other one. Are you going to be satisfied with your
it was
purchase?
actually pretty good.
Right. Yeah.
How many do you think I can do this, Robert?
Huh?
How many do you think I can do this?
I'm going to say 3.5, but I don't know. You may get more than that. A minute's kind of it doesn't seem like a long time, but if you get in a rhythm, you might get up to 4 or 5. I don't know. We'll see. Ready? Mark, set, go. Oh, no. So what I want you guys to be thinking about while she's going through this, if you were added to the production process, if you came in, how would you change things? Right?
Shush, I'm gonna get my rhythm.
Uh-oh. Already making a mess.
I'm sorry, I dropped the one piece of paper. Girl, you already.
That's good. Hey, when you rush, you mess up. Consistency is key.
I think she's gonna make it.
You've got 15 seconds. And technically, I should cut off like 3 because I couldn't get it started, but that's okay. I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time. You stable it, but it doesn't count. All right, so here's what we got to do first. Okay, quality control. Do Shayla's packets even count? That's what we got to find out first.
They do.
Right, well,
Pretty
hey.
good job on
I will be the judge of that. Okay. Actually, you guys. You got a long way to go.
What?
Okay, so this one, pretty good, right? I see a little bit of yellow and purple behind the red though, so it's not perfect. You know, I need precise paper packet. Okay. This one, that one looks pretty good except for the staple. A little janky, right?
Oh, that last one.
That's okay. This one's okay. Okay, I'm gonna take them off. So whenever we added 1 unit of labor, so on your graph, when we added 1 unit of labor, what is our total output? 3, perfect. Which is a change of how much? 3, because we went from 0 to 3, right? So we've added 3 units of output. Now, what stage of production would that fall under? Stage 1, right? That's stage 1 of production. I'll do S1. Okay, stage 1 of production, because we are increasing margins and increasing total. Right now, Taylor, what's the best way to increase our output? What do we need?
Getting more work.
We need some more workers. Hire somebody. Pick somebody. Anybody. You can let them volunteer. You can be mean and make some.
Anyone want to volunteer?
Right. Boom. Okay. So you guys need to consider how you're going to be efficient here. What should they do? Should they both stack, staple, and run their own papers? Should they divide the labor? One of them stack, one of them staple. Run an assembly line. Okay, so in economics, we call this idea specialization, right? And it's one of the reasons that adding additional units of labor is so effective, right? Because as you divide labor, each person can specialize and get really good at one thing, as opposed to needing to do the whole thing together, right? Taylor may be really good at stacking, not so good at staple, or vice versa, okay? So you put each person doing what they're the best at, and hopefully you get optimal results. So I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to figure out how you want to do it. It's your factory, right? I'm just the owner. Okay. The same rules will apply. You'll have 1 minute. Hopefully I will start that minute at the actual start time. How many packets do you guys think now? 5. So you think they're only going to add 2, 6, 7? So here's the real question, right? If you think about it this way, if you think about like ratios, each unit of labor currently is worth how much output? 3. So if this were just a math class, adding a second unit of labor, our total should be 6, right? Fortunately, because I'm terrible at math, this is not a math class, right? This is economics. We're talking about people, right? I think you guys beat 6 based on specialization and working together. Okay? I think you beat 6. Who thinks they beat 6? Who thinks they get at least 6 or more? Who thinks they go under 6? Sad. Shame. Shame. Okay, you guys ready? As my daughter would say, on your market, set, go. Again, be thinking, how can we optimize the process? Look at what they're doing and think about ways.
Make it stop, make it,
There you go. They're gonna be.
30 seconds, we're halfway there. Yeah, something's broken.
Is that supposed to be a compliment or?
Yes.
What? You better hurry, girl, you got 2 seconds.
Yeah, I get to run in 10. Eight, 3, 2, 1. Good. Right? Even still though, did you guys notice there are still too many jobs for the amount of labor available? And that is crucial. That's going to really be a defining point for where our laws of diminishing marginal return in stage 2 kicks in. Because as long as there are additional jobs for people to do, adding labor should be good. But what happens, like Jay said, what happens whenever you add too much labor for the amount of jobs available? You just get people standing around, right? So let's see. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so we hit right at 6. So next on our chart, 2 units of labor yielded us 6 total, which is a margin of how much? 3. Margin of 3, right? All you have to do is take where you are and subtract where you came from. So 6 minus 3 will give us our margin. It's a margin of 3. Now this is kind of tricky. Because we're kind of at a standstill on our margins, they didn't really increase or decrease, right? It's hard to tell if we're in stage 1 or stage 2, right? So you can kind of put something like this, stage 1 / stage 2. We just know we're not in stage 3 yet because we're not losing margins, right? Now, we also have to account for things like human error. They could have just been a little bit nervous. This is their first time working together. As people do a task, what should happen? They should get better and better at it, okay? So theoretically, exactly, practice makes perfect, okay? And there's a lot of coaches now like to say perfect practice makes perfect, okay? So hire someone. We got Jace. Brayden? I don't get it there. Oh.
I need to have someone who's like. You need to have someone. Is that for someone?
Huh?
Oh, is that for, no, mind. Is that for Valentine's Day?
I reckon. About 2 weeks early. Huh? The paper spot.
No, the paper's on.
Oh, yes. Yes, you may. Okay. So adding in a third unit of labor based on what we're seeing. Now, the law of diminishing marginal return tells us what should our next total or margin be? What should our next total be? Or less. So now that we've hit a point where we're not really gaining any addition, if this were a model in an economic book, the next number would probably be 8, right? So economics says, now that we have hit our cap efficiency, every additional unit of labor should start hitting stage 2 or 3. So economics says the maximum you can do is 8. I'm not so sure, okay? Because again, there's more to economics and these models than just numbers. We're dealing with people, incentives, right? Like if I said, hey, if you guys can get more than 9, I'll bring you a snack tomorrow.
Really?
If you guys can get more than 9,
Oh.
I will bring you a snack tomorrow.
I have more
Incentives, right? You can push the boundaries of normal economic model because there's that human element. We're not just talking about papers and staplers, we're talking about people. Effort changes, right? Efficiency changes, morale changes. You might have somebody like a hype man come in, right? And like pump everybody up, and for some reason you just start doing that. Right? The Bengals and the Chiefs this weekend. Right? The Bengals didn't exist the first half, and then all of a sudden after half they come out and they're the only team on the field. Right? So things change. So y'all you think we'll hit 9? Who thinks we will hit 9 or more? 2, 3. Who thinks we will go under 9? Okay. All right. Pretty split again. All right. Are you ready? You guys have what you're going to do? How are you going to shake this out?
I'm not saying.
Okay.
What do I do?
I mean, y'all figure out. You could either help stack papers, or you can just have a designated runner, or whatever. All right. Y'all figure it out. Got a couple of seconds.
Okay.
All right, you ready? 3, 2, 1, start. What do you already notice though? She's just standing there, right? There you go.
So bad.
All right, so we're already starting to see the point where the labor itself is a bit less efficient as we're adding it. If we were to add a 4th, a 5th, or even a 6th person in, we're going to completely run out of time. 25 seconds. 20. 10.
Wait. Hurry.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. At the finish line. That was nice. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, let's see where we wound up. So we said the kind of over under, right, should be 9. Economics says you should be under 9, right? I think you guys can at least hit that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we hit perfectly on where you should have it hit. So our new total is what? 8. All right, our new total is 8. Our new margin is 2. Right? Now, if this pattern were to continue and we added in a 4th unit of labor, what can we assume based on economic principles is going to happen? What should our next total probably be?
7.
Okay, so it's hard to say. You guys are kind of all right. We are going to be somewhere in here, stage 1 or stage 2 or stage 3. Either we might eke out one more packet and hit 9 with a 4th worker, right? Maybe you got people on each side of the table and they're like, stacking like crazy, and you find somebody, who's a little better at stapling or something like that. I don't know. Okay, so maybe you hit 9. But odds are you're probably going to be 9, maybe 8 again, maybe even 7, right? There's not a whole lot of growth left for adding additional labor, right? What's the next step? What can we do other than add labor? If we could go to the long run All right, so the difference between short-term and long-term investments. If we could do something like add a stapler, right? Or move this over so that as soon as you staple, you can just throw it right in the basket. Those are the next step in the labor process or in the production process to increase that output. So we're definitely stage 2 here, right? And then we're guessing, right? Stage 2 or stage 3. We're going to come back tomorrow and finish up this last piece and see exactly what we hit, right? So we'll come back in tomorrow and finish this up. What I want you guys to do is on Schoology, I'm going to post the same pre-test, the same little pre-assessment that you guys took before the lesson. And I want you to take that as kind of an exit slip post-assessment when you come in tomorrow. Seems kind of weird to take it at the beginning, but that's how we're going to run it.